This is Your Sports Swindon, and as always, it's time for the Don. Don Rogers is stood next to me, Swindon Town legend, and today we're going to be discussing all things football, Don. So thank you for joining me.
No problem.
And today what I'd like to discuss is grassroots football, but not so much the state of it and getting kids to play football, but actually the state of officiating at it and also the abuse that referees are receiving at that level. The Telegraph have done an investigation into it, and they found some quite interesting results that some referees have come to them and said, yeah, I've stopped officiating games now because I've received death threats, I've actually received physical abuse at matches. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, with refereeing, it's always been the same, I think, really. They've always taken abuse, you know. It's difficult. I go and watch games all the time, and I'm very lucky, perhaps. I don't see much of it, you know, but I do hear about it going on. I hear about referees being spoken to by managers rather bad and going on the pitch and confronted and all that. So it shouldn't happen. It's just, but football's a game like that. There's a lot of, let's say, excitement then, and people get carried away, and you know, and sometimes it does happen. And I think most people regret it afterwards, but it happens at the time, and we all know it shouldn't. But it'll never stop, I don't think, because you go and watch Swindon Town playing. I mean, the crowd are baying at the referee a lot of the time because he's, you know, so it'll never change.
And that's it, and that's, I think, by the sounds of it as well, that's kind of the standpoint that some of the football associations are taking with it as well. There were some of the case studies in the Telegraph piece saying that some people actually received abuse and they contacted their local governing body and were telling them about the stories that happened to them at the football matches, and they just turned around and effectively just said, man up, it's football, it happens. But surely they should be receiving a better support system than that. Well,
they should be, really. I mean, I think a lot of things get reported, and I'm not sure that the FAs perhaps do enough about it. That is the problem. And it gets swept under the carpet a lot of the time, I think, and it should be brought out in the open. And I think that's basically what happens. It's the local FAs that have got to take responsibility for it.
And in 2008, the Respect campaign was launched from the top tier of football right down to grassroots, and there was initially a drop in abuse and things like that coming in.
Yeah.
And ever since then, it's been going down, but people have actually turned around now, again, referees saying, actually, the reason it's gone down is because we've stopped telling our football governing bodies that it's even happening because we've lost faith in them.
Yeah, that sounds right to me, yeah. I think they probably have. I do speak to a lot of people, and they do say that as well. It gets reported, and nothing seems to happen, so it doesn't help the referees out at all.
So a bit of a tough one for you now. I'm going to put you in the boots of the FA. Say that the chairman of Wilts FA, someone comes to you and gives you these stories of abuse. Yeah. Have you got any ideas how they can try and combat it?
I think it's very difficult thing to combat. The only thing they can combat it with is doing something about it when they do get complaints. But I don't think they're hard enough for people. Simple as that. I think they have to come right down on people and say, look, you don't do it again, or else you won't be going to the game again. So they've got to be really serious about it.
Why do you think that's the case with football? I mean, you look across to rugby, the players, 9 times out of 10, are bigger than footballers and take bigger hits.
Yeah.
But they respect the refs who, again, more often than not, tiny little things. They could beat them up if they wanted to, but the respect that they've got for them is at the utmost compared to a footballer who berates the ref throughout the game. Do you think that's got an impact on how the fans receive the ref as well?
Yeah, I think it does actually, because I mean, I did make a comment once. I went to watch England play South Africa at Twickenham in a rugby match, and I didn't hear any bad language, and I thought you can go to the county ground and you know, after a minute you hear bad language. So whether that's anything to do with it, I don't know. But rugby seems to be completely different. I think the referee's got complete control, whereas with football he's got 90% control, perhaps, and the other 10% the players get away with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So if we roll back the years, during your time on the pitch, did you respect the ref? Did you feel that he had the utmost control of the game?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I think referees were a lot different in those days as well, because a lot of referees would just run past and say, don't do that again, or you'll be in the book, you know, and things like that, without calling you over and saying, come here, son, and making a point that they just used to tell you and you knew. Mm-hmm. It's as simple as that.
And do you reckon that's because of the cameras at the games now? For example, if Sky are recording a game, the referee wants everyone to see that, look, I am having a chat with the player.
Well, they've got to be so careful. They've got to do everything by the book, haven't they? It's all got to be done right. I mean, everybody must feel sorry for referees, I'm sure, in some way or another, because we can watch it and we'll say, referee's got that wrong, and you watch the replay and he's right. You know, most times the referees are right, but people don't say them. They always pick the bad ones and say, oh, you got that wrong.
Definitely, yeah. And so, when you were a young scallywag out on the pitches before he got signed up by Swindon. Was it similar to the way it is now with the grassroots?
No. We didn't have anything organised in those days. No. I mean, I didn't start playing proper football till 12, 13, 14, something like that. So didn't have school games.
Wow, okay. And so do you think that this will ever be sorted? Do you reckon the grassroots referees will come back because they receive more respect?
Well, I think it's football's always going to be the same sort of thing. It's emotional, and people get excited and like I said, I think most people regret it afterwards, but at the time it just happens.
Brilliant, Dom. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers, thanks.